Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wolf Pit with another episode of What Are We Eating? But this isn't our typical farm meat slurry concoction of the lowest quality ingredients, prepackaged frozen dinner, What Are We Eating videos that we're used to. This is a What Are We Eating video of meats you can order online. And there's so many online companies where you can buy meat and have it shipped to your home. But I chose to work with ButcherBox, and I'll tell you why. Today's video is sponsored by ButcherBox, which if you haven't heard of ButcherBox before, or ordering meat online is not your thing, that's fine. But stick around and let me tell you my honest opinion of ButcherBox and why I chose to partner with them. But before I go any further, if you like what I'm about to show you, and you end up giving ButcherBox a try, new members get 2 pounds of 100% grass-fed and finished ground beef in every order for the life of your membership. Who doesn't love free meat? ButcherBox was started with the idea that everyone should have access to high-quality, humanely raised meat. Each month, ButcherBox delivers 100% grass-fed and finished beef, humanely raised, crate-free heritage breed pork, free-range organic chicken, and wild-caught sustainable seafood straight to your door. They only work with companies and farmers that are dedicated to doing the right thing, never cutting corners, and always looking for ways to improve. Discover why ButcherBox is the trusted source of high-quality protein for families across the country. And there's complete flexibility with your membership. You can order what you want, how much of it you want, and when you want it. And another thing with ButcherBox is your shipments are always free, which if you've ever ordered meats online before, the shipping can sometimes be more expensive than what you're actually ordering. You can cook with confidence, knowing that the high-quality meat delivered right to your door lived the best life it could right before it ended up next to the mashed potatoes and gravy. They've kept the ordering process as simple as it can get for dummies like me. You could choose a custom box where you pick your own meats, a mixed box with beef, pork, and chicken, a beef and chicken box, a beef and pork box, or an all-beef box. Then you choose your box size. You can get a classic box, which contains 9 to 14 pounds of meat, or the big box that contains 18 to 26 pounds of meat. Now just hold on 1 second before you leave a comment and tell me that you can go to the grocery store and buy 10 times the amount of meat for these prices. Because I agree with you, you probably can buy 10 times the amount of meat for these prices. But as I've already tried to explain throughout the video so far, all meat is not created equal. Just do a search on YouTube for mass meat producers. Watch a couple videos and you'll see what I mean. But you do end up paying just a little bit more for humanely raised animals that have been fed a quality diet throughout their life and given a chance to live a decent life until of course they meet the mashed potatoes and gravy. And you also pay for the convenience and the free shipping. Alright, I've done enough talking. Let's get to the meat of the matter. Pun intended. So let's see what ButcherBox sent me. All the meat is shipped in an insulated box with dry ice. When you receive it, everything is still frozen solid, so you can either pop it in the refrigerator to thaw out or put it back in the freezer. So the first thing we have in our ButcherBox are 2 pounds of sweet Italian ground pork sausage links. Then we have 4 8-ounce boneless pork loin chops. And look at how thick these monsters are. And I love the fact that these loin chops are not overly trimmed and they left that beautiful white pork fat on them. Sometimes I'd rather eat pork fat than the pork meat itself. Like you've heard me say many times before, fat is where the flavor's at. Then we have 1 pound of wild-caught sea scallops. Next we have a 1 pound ranch steak, which is technically a boneless chuck shoulder center cut steak. So coming from the chuck, it should have some good marbling, which equals good flavor. Then we have 2 10-ounce grass-fed ribeye steaks, which have beautiful marbling and will be sampled later in this video. Then we have a 5 pound bone-in pork butt, which will be turned into pulled pork later on this week. And finally, 4 pounds of 100% grass-fed and grass-finished ground beef. And here's every pack of the 15 pounds of meat that was in my ButcherBox. Now here we are the next day after our ribeyes sat in the refrigerator to thaw out overnight. Once our ribeye steaks were thawed, we took them out of the package and placed them on some paper towels to dry a bit. After sitting at room temperature for about 20 minutes and drying, it was time to add some salt. That's the only thing I wanted to flavor the meat with, because I wanted to taste the natural flavors of the grass-fed beef. I added a couple tablespoons of oil to my preheated cast iron skillet over medium-high heat. Once the oil is smoking hot, add your steaks salt side down. And leave them there for 2.5 minutes. Don't touch them. We like our meat rare to medium rare. If you want yours cooked a little bit more, let it cook for another 30 seconds to a minute. And this also depends on the thickness of your steaks. And then generously season the other side with more kosher salt. After 2.5 minutes, flip the steaks. And now let them cook for 2.5 more minutes. After cooking for a total of 5 minutes, our steaks are ready. Now remove them from the skillet and let them rest for about 5 minutes. After resting for a few minutes, let's cut our steak in half and see how we did. I slightly overcooked the steak for our taste and it looks more like a medium, but when a steak is as juicy as this one is, it doesn't really matter. Now let's cut up the rest of the steak and do some sampling. And remember when I said I love pork fat? Well, I almost equally love beef fat as well. So that was the first bite I wanted to take. In this particular bite, a little bit of meat and a lot of fat. Perfect ratio to me. To me, the flavor and the texture is totally different than a grocery store ribeye. We're somewhat silky and light, if that makes any sense. And you can tell by looking at this bite that it's going to melt in your mouth. And it certainly did. The texture was literally like butter. The flavor of the meat, I know this is going to sound weird to you guys, it tastes clean. Maybe a better word to use than clean would be vibrant, like a very popping, bright flavor. And you don't get that waxy, fatty coating on the roof of your mouth like you can sometimes get with steak. Now for the final bite, let's get the holy grail of the ribeye, the spinalis muscle. And it was phenomenal, just like the rest of the steak, but cooked a little bit more to my liking, more on the rare side. So again, I'm going to try to explain it in my own terms, which usually don't even make sense to me. The flavor and the texture are simply out of bounds. It feels as though you're eating a light, healthier steak with all the robust flavor without the guilt. Now see, that barely makes sense to me. Now I'm going to explain the steak in one word that everyone will relate to. Phenomenal. So here's 7 reasons why you should give ButcherBox a try. This meat makes a difference. Free ground beef for life. The price is nice. It's super easy. You'll have more time for what matters most. People are saying good things about ButcherBox. Enjoy the perks of being a member. And let's add just one more reason to check out ButcherBox. They love their customers. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.